you do things with intention, they have a purpose. When you do things that have a purpose, you have a process. When you have a process, you have confidence. You can't deviate off of something you don't know. That's called winging it. Stop winging it. You're professionals. Now, I will tell you that there are parts of this conversation, everything in here is written out, but it's not memorized, but it's pretty well structured. Intention crushes tactics. Your goals better be different than when you started yesterday. What's your goal now when you prospect? The simple answer is we're here to help. We're advisors. Your goal when you prospect is to help people. That's it. Conversion through connection. Let's fly through this. Selfish versus power. Here's how you know you're being selfish. I want now clients, only qualified, qualifying questions, think about me, don't want to learn structured buyer, seller price, attached to commission. Selfless, pipeline building, works to help everyone, overarching goal questions, prospects first, have studied proper processes to be a guide, attached to being their best and learning how to always improve. Circle the last one. They're attached to being their best. I'm not the best out here in the world. I'm not the greatest speaker. I just do my best. Tomorrow I'll be better. I'll probably swear less, maybe more. I don't know. Become selfless. I have 9 appointments on my calendar. They're not qualified. I don't know if they can afford it. I don't know if they can't. Prospects first. If you don't review your stuff, you don't care about your skills. You're selfish. And that's okay, because that's what the community taught you to be. But now you're here, now you're better, now you know. The best review, Tony Robbins, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. They all reviewed tape, they all reviewed numbers. Why? Because they were the best and committed to the best. You guys, it's okay to want to be a top agent and expert. I want to be recognized as being a best in everything I do. And if I don't feel like I'm going to put the effort into it, I just don't do it. I don't pretend that I'm going to do it. I'm not going to pretend to be a water skier. Why? Because I'm not. Now, if I water ski here and there, I'm going to be like, yeah, I water skied once. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm a water skier. Money's for experiences, right? Hung out with Tony Robbins for a year. That was $150,000. I hung out with him in his house. I did a cold plunge with him, right? That took money. That took money. That took time. That took freedom. That took an ability. But the only way to have an experience like that is you have to have money, right? I want a garage full of cars. This is a year that I paid Sharon almost $40,000, $50,000 to coach with him. This is Bedros, Julian, coach with him. I also want to have a family that can come and have a picture at my staircase that's beautiful, that looks gorgeous, and you're like, wow, that's a beautiful 16-foot, 12-foot door. Look at the archways, look at the lights, right? But all that requires money. Money doesn't buy the house. Money buys what you put in the house, and the house has the family. When you prospect for something else. Stop prospecting for yourself. Most agents have a detour in their business because they're focused on who? But not anymore. You guys are focused on who? Prospects, clients, everyone else. Because when you focus on them, everything just becomes easier. Be committed to the process without being emotionally attached to the results. Take a picture of this. The reason why we're so concerned about what we say, it's the same reason why some of you guys are sitting on your phones and your computers today instead of being a part of the conversation. You're emotionally attached to everything you do. And because you're emotionally attached, you make irrational choices and decisions. I'm hungry. I need to do this and I need to do that because I'm so hungry. Emotions. You're not that hungry. Trust me. They were only hungry the first day and a half. After that, they're like, oh my God, I feel great. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I didn't ask you if you wanted to go to the gym or not. I said, I will see you at 6 a.m. Are you going to be there? Yes or no? Well, I don't know. I have to check how I feel. Rambo doesn't check how he feels. He just gets up and goes. We make excuses. Oh, I traveled. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did that. Oh, I did this. But let me tell you, if I said, here's some cocktails and they're free and they're top shelf, y'all would be there. First class ticket to Hawaii, you got to be up there 1 o'clock in the morning, but you got to be here till 12 o'clock. You'd be there. Our emotions dictate our lives. Emotions are weak. When you're in control of your emotions, you're powerful. So let's talk about what's called the natural conversation formula. The first thing is intention. Your first chapter is intention. It's probably the most important thing. When you do things with intention, you are intentional. When you do things that are intentional, they have a purpose. When you do things that have a purpose, you have a process. When you have a process, you have confidence. When you have confidence, when you just try to wing it. Now, I will tell you that there are parts of this conversation, everything in here is written out, but it's not memorized, but it's pretty well structured. Now, I didn't know that I was going to sit Indian style and flip over the light. I couldn't write that out, but this just feels natural and right. Number 2, intention. Sir, you asked me earlier, how do we know? How do we come to prospecting? Right intention. Hand on your heart to serve, and you just breathe into it. Everything we do in my world is intentional. Our work matters. Be the energy. We are just vessels of God, heart, love. I serve my team, my clients, then myself. Build the team, build the culture, business builds itself. I am whole, I am powerful, I matter. We are here to serve. Be the energy. Y'all, I've been through some shit in life. Anybody else been through some shit in life? We got to remind ourselves we're important sometimes. This industry will crap all over you. That's my reminder. I have people watering it, checking on it, opening my closet, opening my office door every day to make sure that plants get fresh air. Why? It matters. I'm not there. They matter. Life matters, every type. Intention matters. Second thing is you need structured conversations. That doesn't mean you need to memorize. That means you need to know a structured process. And then you deviate off of that process once you've memorized it. You can't deviate off of something you don't know. That's called winging it. Stop winging it. You're professionals. A button hook. Anybody here know what a button hook pass is? I bet you if I had 3 people who know what a button hook pass is and I told them to write it down and I said button hook left, they would all have the same structure. What's a button hook pass for the football players here? Scott, what is it? If 2 people are doing the same play but they're doing it 2 different ways, is it the same play? No. How big is McDonald's? They systematize their process. Would you like? Y'all want to be creative. I want to be rich. Y'all want to be creative. I want to be useful. Y'all want to be creative. I want to be structured. This building is structured. This room is structured. Yet we live in a world where we think creativity is what makes everything beautiful. I'm sorry, I've seen a lot of creative things on the park benches that don't look beautiful, damn creative. It's cringeworthy, but yet we want to act our business like that. That's not a business, that's a hobby. A hobby's got replicatable, structured processes that you can teach to anybody, anywhere. Module 2, 4, and 5. Number 3, you got to be a conscious listener. When you guys give feedback to people, you become conscious of them and not conscious of you, and now you become a better listener. Any of you think you need to work a lot on your listening skills? Yeah, every hand should go up in the room, including mine and Cody's and Eric's and Luisa's and Aldo's and Molly's and Dave's. Camera dude, number 2. John, damn it, see, bad listening. Are you Andrew? No. I got you and I missed John. You see, guys? These guys are working their asses off for us and I forgot somebody's name. How shitty is that? Conscious listening, though. When you're conscious, you listen deeper, you remember more. Your pace, how fast are you talking? When you're in a natural flow, your pace just is natural. But until you get to that point where you are natural, you have to think about how fast, how slow you talk. You also got to think about your tonality. Right. If I'm really loud, though, people pull out. Push away. Whoa, wow, that was aggressive. You guys know that there's only a few fears that a child has. 1 is loud sounds, 2 is falling. Because both of those signify danger and that they can die. So babies are inherently scared of falling and loud sounds. So when you come out, hey, how are you? Oh my God. And you're a loud sound, you're triggering fight or flight in the prospect. And here we're told to be excited. Excitement doesn't mean loudness. So you're automatically triggering fight or flight because of your tonality, the volume of your voice. Well, I was trying to be excited to know that they care. They know that you care because you ask better questions, not because of how loud you sound. Sounding loud just makes you sound crazy. We've all seen the TikToks where people are screaming at each other and getting nowhere. Conversational, the ooh, the ah, the ums, the kind of, the sort of. When we're being conversational in sales, is allowing the people to think and respond appropriately to a conversation that makes sense. Not the qualifying questions that LP Mama taught us back from the 90s. Like, y'all, isn't that crazy that ChatGPT, I was like, I wonder when this came out. Because I've been learning it for 20 years. I wonder when this came out. Early 2000s. And then we wonder why we hate prospecting and picking up the phone. Right? What's the number 1 problem agents have is they hate picking up the phone. Why? Because they don't get results. Well, if only more people picked up. Why? So you could have more punches in the nose? I'm like, come on, y'all. I don't want to get punched in the nose anymore. That hurts. My nose is huge. It's an easy target. Got to block that shit. Be conversational, tone, pace, conversation, the TPC model, tone, pace, conversation. Here's a new one, heart of love and service. Heart of love and service. When you come with the heart of love and service, everything changes. The room changes, the conversation changes, the pitch changes, the feel changes, everything changes. But you have to come from that heart and that love. Most people are silently triggered, which means you didn't get an outright no. It just means that they're passive aggressive. No, not just people in Seattle in the middle of June when they're still wishing that it was sunny. People that say to you things like, no, I need to think it over. I'm not in a rush. I want to interview others. Can you email me all the details? I don't know you or your company. Those are people that are giving you objections. In real estate, we don't get straight objections. We get roundabout objections. But that's an objection. You need to learn how to handle it. But this happens because something here was off. Your intention was on you. They felt it. You didn't have a structured conversation. You were winging it. You sounded like everybody else. You weren't listening to what they said, so you asked questions based off of what you thought you should ask, not based off of what they needed to hear. Your pace, your tones were off. Right now, am I talking pretty fast here? Really fast, right? But I'm also very conscious of what's happening in the room. Heart of love and heart of service. Lead from the heart, guide with your head. That's a Vicism. Lead with your heart, guide with your head. Sell the no to get to the yes. This is one of my most fun things that I do. This is something that you all should become really good at. Sell the no. Selling the no is so powerful, right? When you allow somebody to say no, you get to their real reason faster, you lower resistancy, and you also get to prevent objections. See, here's what agents do. Here's what typical salespeople do. Our salespeople do it the same too. They want to put more stuff in there to try to extrapolate the pain right now, but you don't need to. Why? Because they already feel it. I didn't need to say to her, hey, Michelle, why don't you keep the house and not be able to buy your blah, 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 blah. That's selling. Michelle, why don't you just keep the house? And Michelle went on for 14 minutes yesterday, and she would have gone on for another 37 about why she needed to let go of the house. And then she would have cried, and she would have had another transformation, but we didn't have time for it. But she already had a transformation. That's why she sold the house. It closes on June 14th. Synchronicities don't just happen. They're meant to happen. Sell the no. Give people the option to get out. Stop being so needy. Give them the opportunity to leave. You don't want to be here? You don't want to sell? Why am I here then? Well, we're not sure. Okay, what aren't you sure about? I'm not sure. Okay, well, is it cool if we just ask some questions to figure out what it is that you're unsure about? Yeah, what should we ask? I don't know. Let's just start with, why don't you guys just keep the house? Well, we thought about it. Okay, tell me why you don't. Why don't you just not move? Why don't you just not worry about what's going on in your family life? Give them the opportunity, because that's what advisors do. Doctors don't tell you you have to take drugs. They say, this is my recommendation that we get you on X, Y, and Z. Be a doctor, as Jan was saying yesterday. Sales leaders who sell the no are seen as more confident, honest, trustworthy, unattached advocates. They encourage actual, authentic, two-way conversations, and they reduce pressure. When's the best time to buy a house? I don't know. Probably why we should sit down and put together a strategy, have a game plan around when is the best time for you guys to buy a house. Because I don't know when the best time is for you to buy a house. Who knows that the best? You. But you might need somebody to help you get it out of you so that we can have a strategy that makes sense based off of your timelines, your finances, your goals. Is that true? Yes. So would you be opposed if we could set up a time where we both talk about your next steps together? Yes. Okay, great. Let's do that. You reduce the pressure. This is the end of the presentation. You guys can clap now.